Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review about one of my most anticipated thrillers of this year, and that is of course Survive the Night by Riley Sager. So before I get into my thoughts about this, I should preface this review by saying that I have read all of Riley Sager's other books. I consider myself a big Riley Sager fan. Usually at the beginning of the year, I will pre-order his upcoming book or whenever the pre-order becomes available. So I definitely came into this book with a lot of expectation. So I wanted to chat with you guys about if this book lived up to the hype for me and what parts of it I enjoyed and didn't enjoy so much. So this book follows Charlie, who is a college student at this kind of small liberal arts college, and she is roommates with this very kind of extroverted girl named Maddie, and they are extremely close. One day they go out to the bars, and Charlie decides to leave early, and Maddie comes home later, but that night Maddie is killed by the infamous campus killer, a serial killer that is haunting this college town. Charlie, of course, is completely heartbroken and overwhelmed by what has happened to Maddie, so she decides to leave campus and go home. And to get home, she uses a rideshare app and hitches a ride with this guy named Josh. As the ride continues, she becomes completely convinced that Josh is in fact the campus killer. So from the outset, this book had a lot of things that I really enjoyed. First of all, it is set at a college campus, and I do really enjoy books that are either set at high school or college. I just gravitate towards them, and if that's in the synopsis, I'm always going to be intrigued and want to pick it up. But then I was also very intrigued by this one because it seemed pretty different from some of other Riley Sager's books. This book is almost exclusively set in the setting of the car, and through most of the book, you are in Charlie's head as she is in this car with this man that she thinks is going to kill her. So the part of that I really enjoyed is that I did think it built some suspense. You were in the same place, you were really in her head. It was a lot more introverted and psychological, I would say, than some of Riley Sager's other books. However, where it fell down for me is that it was pretty repetitive. So when they were in the car, Josh would do something that Charlie found suspicious. Charlie would react to it. She'd go through the same thought process. Oh my gosh, this is the campus killer. I have to get out of this car. I have to be out of here. This is so scary. And then it would kind of resolve itself, and then the same thing would repeat over and over again. I think it is difficult to write a book in one setting and make each part of it creative, but I think that there could have been some ways to maybe make main meat of the book a little bit more suspenseful and exciting. The other thing that I will say about this book that I was a little bit disappointed by is that I thought the end was pretty predictable. There are only so many characters in this book, and there are only so many things that could have happened. And because of the way that it's written and it's set up, it really isn't that difficult to guess who is the campus killer. While in thrillers, I do get a little bit frustrated when the author takes the reader down a very long and tangential path to somewhere where the reader knows the thriller isn't going to be resolved. I found that this was too far on the other end of the spectrum, where there were almost no other possibilities for what could have happened realistically, and so it just became very predictable. In fact, I guess pretty much how this book was going to be concluded about a third of the way through. While there were definitely parts of this book that did let me down, I did find the end part of it really suspenseful. There was a lot of action, a lot of excitement at the end, and particularly the last couple of pages of the book were some of my favorite, and they definitely bumped my rating up at least a star because of the very final part of the book. I have to say, when it came down to it, this is my least favorite Riley Sager. I ended up giving it 3 stars, and I was kind of on the border of giving it 2 stars for quite a while, but ultimately the way that he writes female protagonists, the kind of suspense that he builds within situations made me end up giving it a 3 stars. I do think that this book felt a little bit rushed. And while I do love the annual Riley Sager release, and I do get very excited to add it to my bookshelf, I do wish that this one had been a little bit more thought out and had a little more to it, because I think that there was a lot of potential in this book to be something very exceptional. I do think that this would make an incredible movie. In fact, it is written kind of as a movie script, like the chapter titles will say like interior of the Grand Am, which is the car that they're driving in at night, or like exterior somewhere. And I felt like that really set the scene. And with the amount of description and the amount of kind of like claustrophobia and suspense in this car, I actually think it would have made a really good kind of horror mystery thriller movie. Anyways, regardless of my thoughts of this one, I am very excited to see what Riley Sager comes up with next and what book he will probably end up coming out with next year. I have not heard anything. Let me know if you guys have heard anything about his next release that he is coming out with. But I would love to know what you guys thought of this in the comments down below. How did it compare to other Riley Sagers for you if you have read his other books? And are you still going to be picking up his annual releases? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Bye.